there goes that idea for an intro. Hello everybody! It's me again, Steph, and I literally just got back from seeing Star Wars, The Force Awakens, the 7 o'clock premiere, and oh my god, I have so many feelings! Why is my microphone so far away?
Hello.
Perfect. So as someone who was never able to see the original Star Wars in theaters, this was like a crazy experience for me because I grew up watching these movies, I had them on VHS, I was just obsessed with them, I watched them all the time, and I've finally been able to see one in theaters. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 don't count. Seeing them in theaters meant nothing to me. So before you get your panties in a bunch here, I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review of the movie, and Jenny will be uploading a spoilers all over the place review later. So don't worry, that's on the way. So basically, having just seen the movie, this is how I feel right now. Just so you know, those are tears of joy mixed with tears of not so much joy. But I can't tell you why, because this is a spoiler-free video and it's literally eating me up inside. Right, Chewie? I don't know what noise that was. I'm seriously just like at a loss for words right now because I have so many feelings. So, all in all, honest review, I think this movie was fantastic. Like, I was honestly a little bit worried just because the last time they tried to bring Star Wars back, it was terrible. But honestly, this movie carries so much magic. Like, the feel of the original movies, the original trilogy, it feels like I've been thrown back in time and I'm watching them all over again, but for the first time. That's the only way I can describe it. Honestly, when I was sitting there and the movie started and I saw Star Wars show up on the screen, and as soon as I saw those yellow words just sliding up into the sky, I immediately started crying. I don't know what came over me. I was just sitting there staring up at these words floating through space, and for some reason that was just really emotional for me, and I'm still really emotional, and I feel like making a review right after you see a movie is a terrible idea because Okay, so I'm gonna try and be critical without giving anything away. One thing I noticed is that there are a lot of parallels between this movie and Episode 4, A New Hope. They're trying to bring that feel back, you know, bring the atmosphere of that movie and the experience of watching it and transitioning it into this new story. Even though there are a lot of similarities between the two films, it was still enjoyable and new and not predictable, even though there were all of these striking parallels. And I actually think it was very beneficial to the movie because it made me connect to the characters more because I saw certain characters in new characters. Is that making any sense? It's hard to say this without giving the actual characters' names. One thing that I really liked about this movie is that there's a lot of like visual unspoken dialogue. Like there are a lot of scenes where characters will be interacting with each other and instead of actually speaking, they'll like look at each other in a certain way and you can tell exactly what they're feeling and what they're thinking, and it's like they're communicating without even saying words. And I think that's a really cool thing to be able to do, and it just works so well. And I feel like I felt more emotions watching that than I would have hearing them actually say what they were thinking. And I just think that was so well done. I also think the balance was really good. Like this film just felt very well-rounded and everything was paced perfectly and it all flowed together perfectly. There was a great combination of emotional drama mixed with action, mixed with the actual storyline, mixed with comedy. There was so much comedy. I was laughing, I was crying, everything. Everything that you want to experience during a movie happened during this movie for me, and it was totally balanced perfectly. And I also thought the little robot, BB-8, was so funny and so cute, and like, I love R2-D2. I will always love R2-D2. But BB-8 had so much emotion for being a little robot that doesn't talk. Like, I literally connected with a robot, and now I want one of my own. Something else that I really liked about this film and was super relieved to see is that it doesn't rely on any, like, cheap Hollywood tricks. There's not, like, too much outlandish sex appeal or, like, an abundance of unnecessary explosions and action scenes. Although, don't worry, there are definitely plenty of action scenes and plenty of explosions. And honestly, Star Wars is like the only movie where I will accept way too many explosions because they're freaking spaceships and anything with spaceships is just way up here. Just not even on the screen. It's just all the way through the roof in space, where spaceships belong. Boom, full circle. I just want to talk about Star Wars forever. Okay, so while this is a critical review, I was kind of trying to come up with a couple things that I thought weren't entirely fantastic, because I'm kind of like overwhelmed with this feeling of like, oh my god, I just saw Star Wars, everything is awesome, but I know that it has a couple flaws. But honestly, it was very difficult for me to find too many because it's just so good. However, I have two small complaints. Number one, I think the beginning of the film starts off a little bit slow. I wasn't entirely drawn into the whole thing. I mean, I was already drawn in before I even sat down because I was like, Star Wars! But it took a little bit to pick up and for me to be like, okay, I'm into this. But then I was so into it. The second thing is a little bit more of a problem for me. I feel that Finn, this guy, right here, right there, was kind of one-dimensional. I did really like him at times and I rooted for him and I was like, yeah, you go Finn, you're the man. But sometimes I just felt like he didn't really understand who he was or who he was trying to be. And I get that that's like part of his character, but it got a little bit old after a while. Like he just kept not really knowing what he wanted to do, and I felt like he was lacking motivation. I don't know, I just wasn't really on the same level with him, and I feel like there's a lot of room for development with him, but I would have liked to see a little of that development in this movie instead of waiting for it to happen later. And I've been trying to think of a way to review this as if I'm someone who's never seen any other Star Wars film, because I know so much of this movie is pure nostalgia, and there were so many scenes where I would see Han Solo and Princess Leia and they would just look at each other and I would just melt in my seat and like hold back tears, and they weren't even doing anything, they were just standing next to each other and I was just like, this is so amazing. But if someone unfamiliar to those characters watches this movie, they don't understand that history and it's just kind of like, whatever. But honestly, if you're seeing this movie and you haven't seen any other Star Wars movie, you're living your life terribly, terribly wrong. But yeah, this movie was so good. I feel like there was so much like girl power and I was just like, yeah, you go girl. You are awesome. You go Glen Coco. Yes. Also, I don't care how old Han Solo is. I still would. I'm like dying inside because there's something I really want to talk about and I can't because it's a huge spoiler and it is just destroying me. If you have not seen the movie yet, I promise you, you will laugh, you will cry, you will love every second of it. You'll feel like a little kid again. You'll feel like you're being pulled into the world of Star Wars as it originally was. I love this movie. I can assure you, the Force is strong with this one. Bye-bye!